You have seen the truck. Chrome stacks, amber lights washing across a wet highway at 2 in the morning, a man in a reflective vest hooking a chain to a stranger's disaster and making it disappear. It looks like the last honest business in America. One truck, one phone, one guy who gets paid every single time something goes wrong, and something is always going wrong. Here is what nobody tells you. In this business, you do not get paid to tow the car. You get paid to keep it. Start with the ticket price because that is where the fantasy begins to develop a crack. A used light-duty wheel-lift truck, the kind that will pull a sedan out of an apartment complex fire lane, runs somewhere between $20,000 and $80,000, depending on age, mileage, and how badly the last owner treated the boom. A new flatbed rollback, the kind you actually want, the kind that will not scratch an all-wheel drive crossover and generate a claim, starts around $85,000 and climbs past $150,000. A heavy-duty wrecker, the machine that recovers overturned tractor trailers, can pass $250,000 before you add a winch package. Call it one truck. Call it $50,000 for a decent used unit. You are not done. You are not close to done. Before that truck turns a wheel commercially, you need working capital, and the number surprises people. $25,000 to $60,000 sitting in an account that you do not touch. That covers your insurance down payment, your lot deposit, your fuel float, your dispatch software, and here is the part that kills first-year operators: 60 to 90 days of receivables. Motor clubs and fleet accounts pay on 30 to 45-day terms. You perform the work in January, you see the money in March. Your truck note does not care. So the honest all-in number to put one light-duty truck on the road is somewhere between $50,000 and $150,000. Not the $15,000 Craigslist wrecker fantasy, the real number. Now the costs nobody Googles. Roughly 48 of the 50 states license towing in some form. Texas requires both a tow operator license for the human and a tow company license for the business, administered through the state's licensing department. Washington requires a registered tow truck operator license plus a $5,000 surety bond posted before you take a single call. California requires a motor carrier permit once your truck crosses 10,001 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. You will likely need a US DOT number. You will likely need a drug and alcohol testing program with a designated employer representative. If you want on a police rotation list, the city will typically demand $1 million or more in liability coverage, a secured lot with specific fencing and lighting requirements, 24-hour phone coverage, and a competitive bid. Which brings us to the single largest line item on your income statement, and it is not the truck. It is insurance. In 2026, a single tow truck runs roughly $450 to $2,000 per month. Per truck. Light-duty local work with a clean driving record sits near the bottom of that range, around $450 to $700. Heavy recovery, repossession work, or a new venture with no loss history can exceed $2,000. Annually, most single truck operators land between roughly $7,000 and $12,000, and the full stack can reach $25,000. And here is the trap inside the trap. Commercial auto liability covers what your truck hits. It does not cover the car sitting on your deck. That requires on-hook coverage, and the customer vehicles parked overnight in your lot. Those require garage keepers coverage, a separate line priced on the maximum value of everything you could conceivably be storing at once. Why is it so expensive? Because according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data analyzed by federal safety researchers, the towing industry carries a fatality rate of roughly 43 deaths per 100,000 workers. That is among the highest of any private industry in the United States, more than 10 times the national average across all jobs. Motor vehicle incidents account for about 64% of those deaths. You are asking an underwriter to insure a man standing on a highway shoulder at night. They price it accordingly. Now zoom all the way in. One call, one car. What does it actually pay? This is where the fantasy dies quietly. The volume in this industry does not come from people finding your phone number. It comes from motor clubs. AAAA. Agero, which dispatches roadside for a large share of major insurers. Road America. These networks own the customer relationship. The stranded driver calls their insurance company or their membership card. and an algorithm pushes the job to whichever provider is closest with the best acceptance rate. That job pays you $35 to $85. A tow is at the top of that band. A jump start or a lockout sits at the bottom. And if you drive out and the customer has already left, or gone on arrival, you are paid $15 to $25 for the fuel and the trip. Now consider what that same tow costs a retail customer who calls a local company directly. $150 to $350. Read those two numbers next to each other again. $45 to you. $150 or more at the counter. That difference has a name inside the industry. It is called the spread, and it does not belong to you. It belongs to the club that owns the phone number. You are the truck, somebody else is the business. Now stack your fixed costs against that $45. Your truck note, roughly $1,200 to $2,000 a month. Your insurance, $450 to $2,000. Your storage lot rent. Your fuel and a rollback moves about 8 to 10 miles per gallon. Your dispatch software. Your answering service, because a call you do not pick up inside 60 seconds, goes to the next provider on the list. Your phone. Your maintenance reserve, because a boom cable, a hydraulic pump, and a set of 6 commercial tires do not announce themselves. A single truck operation commonly burns $6,000 to $12,000 a month before the truck leaves the yard. Call it $8,000. Now do the arithmetic that every new operator does exactly once, usually around month 4, usually at 2 in the morning. At $45 a call, with maybe $20 of that eaten by fuel and wear, you clear about $25. 8,000 divided by 25 is 320. 320 calls a month. Roughly 11 calls a day, every day, no weekends, no maintenance days, no slow Tuesdays in April when nothing breaks. Nobody does 11 club calls a day in a single truck. The drive time alone makes it impossible. So the math does not work, except it obviously does work, because there are tens of thousands of towing companies operating in the United States in a market generating roughly $12 billion a year. Something is holding the whole thing up. Here it is. This is the fact that reframes the entire business. Towing is not a transportation company. It is a real estate company with a very aggressive intake process. The money is not in the tow. The money is in the lot. When you pull a car from a private property under a non-consent tow, or when a police rotation call sends you to an accident, that vehicle does not go back to its owner. It goes behind your fence. And the moment it crosses that gate, a second revenue line opens that has almost no marginal cost attached to it. Storage. $20 to $100 per day, depending on state caps and vehicle class. Many states publish maximum non-consent schedules. Utah's Department of Transportation fee schedule, for instance, has historically capped outside light-duty storage around $40 a day and inside storage around $45. Los Angeles official police garages have charged in the low 40s per day for a standard car, plus a separate release fee and a city parking occupancy tax on top. $40 a day. For dirt. That car requires no driver, no fuel, no hydraulics, no labor. It sits. And in most jurisdictions, the clock runs on calendar days, not 24-hour cycles, which means a car towed at 11:50 at night and picked up at 8 the next morning has generated 2 full days of storage in 8 hours. Add the administrative fee, $50 to $200 in most places, set by the municipality. Add a gate fee for after-hours release. A 3-day impound routinely totals $300 to $700, and a bill can pass $1,000 inside a week. Now ask the uncomfortable question this business is built on. Who is your most profitable customer? It is not the person who pays and drives away. It is the person who never comes back, because a vehicle that goes unclaimed does not stop earning. It accrues. And after the statutory notice period, which varies by state, that vehicle goes to lien sale. Industry estimates put roughly 180,000 impounded vehicles per year through auction in the United States. The uninsured driver whose car was not worth the storage bill did not cost you a customer. He handed you inventory. This is why the storage lot is the actual asset, and why so many towing companies quietly own their land instead of leasing it. Every square foot of fence line is a revenue-generating unit that never needs an oil change. So who really wins here? Start at the top, the motor clubs. AAA charges roughly $65 to $125 per member per year across its plan tiers, collects that money from tens of millions of members whether or not they ever break down, and pays you $45 when one of them does. Agero collects a program fee from the insurance carrier up front. The spread between what the club charges and what you are paid is the club's margin, and you have no leverage to negotiate it, because if you decline the job, the algorithm simply offers it to the next truck. Then the insurance carriers, who write the policy on the highest fatality private industry in America, and price accordingly. Then the equipment manufacturers and the finance companies behind the $85,000 rollback. Then, in many cities, the municipality itself, which sets your maximum rates by ordinance, collects the administrative and release fees, and in some jurisdictions takes a percentage of every rotation tow you perform on its behalf. And at the bottom of that stack is the man on the shoulder of the interstate at 2 a.m, in the rain, working the highest risk job in the private sector, netting $25 on the hook. So who does this business actually work for? Not the guy with one truck chasing club calls. That is a job with $100,000 of debt attached to it. And the Small Business Administration's own survival data shows roughly half of all small businesses close within 5 years. It works for the operator who understands what he is really buying. Land zoned correctly, fenced, lit, with a police rotation contract attached to it. Multiple trucks so a single breakdown does not stop revenue. Direct commercial accounts, dealerships, body shops, apartment complexes and retail lots on private property impound agreements, where you bill retail instead of club rates. Certifications through organizations like Wreckmaster or the Towing and Recovery Association of America that qualify you for heavy-duty recovery, where a single overturned tractor-trailer can bill more than 50 club calls. Run that way, a solo owner-operator commonly grosses $80,000 to $150,000 a year, and a multi-truck yard with a full lot does considerably better on margins commonly cited between 15 and 25%. Run it the other way, buy the truck first, and figure out the rest later, and you will discover that you did not buy a business. You bought a very expensive payment on a machine that mostly waits. So the next time you see it, the chrome stacks and the amber lights washing across a wet highway at 2 a.m, understand what you are actually looking at. That is not a man being paid to rescue a stranger. That is a man being paid $45 to deliver a car to a fenced lot that will charge $40 a day, indefinitely, to a person who may never come back for it. The truck was never the business. The dirt behind it always was.